Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld said that it's possible that these insurgencies may last up to 12 years. Whether we're in Iraq for 12 years, whether we're there for 2 years, 2 months, I think it's clear that it will have a very great impact on people of my generation, because these are the years we're growing up, shaping our identities. How do you think the war on terrorism and the war in Iraq, being such a part of our childhood and teenage years, will shape the world that we build?
Well, I don't know. I think, perhaps the most significant impact would be if Secretary Rumsfeld and others who are involved in planning and prosecuting the war in Iraq determine there's a need for a draft. If ever there becomes a need for the draft because the volunteer army isn't producing enough recruits, that's going to have a profound impact on every young person, man and woman. And so we'll have to wait and see. I think the Gulf War and the Iraq War will have a significant impact on people's view, particularly young people who are living through this time. We don't know how this turns out in Iraq. I think the insurgency is going to last a long time, but my hope would be that we're able to train enough security in Iraq so that we can turn the country of Iraq over to the Iraqi people and we can bring American troops home, but that remains to be seen. It's not surprising that young people would look at that. All people would look at this and say, the evidence that was laid out turns out to have been dramatically wrong, inaccurate. So, obviously there is a disconnection here between people and government, people who are concerned about making certain that intelligence gets it right and that what's presented to us represent the facts. And so I understand the skepticism. I don't know quite where all this ends up at this point, because I think we have to wait and see what the result is with respect to these attempts to, as President Bush suggests, that develop a route of freedom in the Middle East. I don't know whether that is what's going to happen in Iraq or not. I mean, we're there, we support our troops. All of us, I think, hope that at some point, sooner rather than later, we can bring our troops home. We can't do that tomorrow. There'd be a bloodbath if we did. But once again, the key is to try to train Iraqi security so that we can bring American troops home. I mean, it seems trite, but the Constitution starts with 3 words, we the people. And all the power in America is vested in the power of one person casting 1 vote at a time on Election Day. And we fought very hard to give young people the right to vote. And it'd be terrible, and has been terrible, that so many have decided it doesn't matter. They have a vested interest in where this country's headed, what kind of future we create and build in this country. And, I just think that if young people don't vote, then others will, and others will have control and make decisions about the future that young people will live in. And my hope is that at some point, whether it's over policies such as the Iraq War or any number of things, at some point there will be a mobilization of young people in this country in which they say, no, this is our country too. We have a stake in this as well, and we're going to reflect that by going to the polls in record numbers. You ask about Iraq and about young people's view of these issues. The thing that I think is missing in this country is President Bush hasn't asked anyone in this country to do anything to sacrifice except for soldiers. I mean, at the same time that we send soldiers to Iraq, the president is saying, let's provide tax cuts to upper income Americans. It's not, it seems to me that our country, to the extent that we're going to do something, should mobilize and ask everyone to be involved. Not just young soldiers who we ask to suit up with body armor, and then go to support this country's interest at the request of the Commander-in-Chief. So, there's not been a galvanizing moment or a galvanizing issue that has persuaded young people, at least in recent years, to say, we're in this, we're going to make a difference. But I hope that will come, because young Americans are an enormously powerful force in American politics. Only if they vote, however. Without going to the polls to vote, they're not a force at all.